there, so that's a good thing. We've kind of got that under control for a month here. Reserve expense, same amount as always, and then total expense about 14% favorable overall. So year to date here through June, you see our 6 months, 24,000 unfavorable on the income line. That's what we expected there. G&A driven by legal, and then the copies and printing offset by about, working to get offset by management there. From a grounds perspective, the normal maintenance, tree trimming, the basic stuff is favorable. Grounds maintenance, and then the other tree removal account there is favorable. From a gatehouse, it's flat, $150 unfavorable. Police patrol is favorable. Cameras are favorable as miscellaneous. They don't have too many miscellaneous things up there. Utilities, you can see 2,600 unfavorable. That's largely driven by that irrigation, as well as the offset by the electric favorability there. Reserve is standard amount, and then total expense overall. That top line kills us on there from an overall net income perspective. So we look at our key metrics here. We still have a fair amount, almost 10 months on hand from an operating surplus perspective. We'll forecast at the end of the year coming in at about 339 days. I don't see that changing too much within that. And then net income expense there, you see, I believe last month we were negative 9% for year to date. We've subsequently reduced that, almost cut it in half there. So I still believe in the last half of the year we can still get to that stretch target there, looking at 5.5% to 6% positive to net income. From an overall perspective here, when we look at our assessment receivables, again, it follows, if you look at the 3 months to begin the year, you see how it starts up high, goes down, and jumps high in the quarterly. So I can guarantee you when we do July's, it'll be spiked back up and then go down. Overall, we're at 20,000 for the month there. And you can see there, we're still at the, around 5% is what we're going to end up at, I believe, once you factor in the change in the income base. That's a bit of a kicker that not accounted for. We'd have to normalize it for the other numbers, which we can do at the end of the year to get a true up on how that really looks. Overall, if you want to look at this from dollars, I mean, this kind of holds true. If you see, the average is in the blue and then the currents there, so you can see most of our outstandings in the 90 days category, and that's really clustered in two accounts right now. Then, on the other one, the homeowner count, you can see that basically that kind of shifted then all towards the 90 days, and everything else is running well below the average for the year. So looking at the project dashboard here, a couple things. We're going to take a look at the street lamp fixture replacement here in a bit. We closed that electrical infrastructure improvement last month. We do have some movement on some of the recreation and entrance areas. I think, as you've seen, we've got from the last meeting, we've ordered the doggy stations. The 3 of those are in process and going to be shipped soon here. We've got the drinking fountain on order, waiting for confirmation of shipping that we approved last month, and then the basketball backboard replacement. That should be hopefully coming up pretty soon here. So we are making some progress there. In terms of a lot of the other stuff, I know we've talked about and thrown some stuff out there in terms of ideas. I'm still working to get enough quality quotes that we can actually review this stuff. So a lot of stuff has 2, maybe 3 quotes, but not enough detail, I think, to actually bring forward for the board to take a look at in any great detail at this juncture. From an overall online strategy for our basically our website here, we had more uptick in the people hitting the website over the last 30-day mark. We actually had some new residents that came in, and they've registered to be online voting and email consent, so that crept up by 1 or 2 there. But overall, we're looking pretty favorable. And I can talk more to the website and some of that stuff when we get to that slide. But the new website seems to be operating pretty well. We have a few issues that come up from time to time that we have the vendor look at, and most of those can get repaired in the 24 to 48-hour window, which is pretty good, you know, for some of the stuff that we've encountered so far. So in terms of the committee status reports, we'll move into it. The first one there obviously being the ARB. Mike, I didn't get a chance to consult with you. I just had that we have the meeting coming up on Friday the 20th, and that there's a new home construction. I'm assuming from looking at some of the emails that would start within 30 days after the ARB does their approvals.
So we have two, what I call it, courtesy notices on solar panel installations, so those will automatically be approved. We have the new construction, and essentially they did take the tree out. They wanted to have a marking come in. I said the homeowner can give approval, but that really needs to hold until the application is approved, which it should. We gave them the list of corrections, and this is just to go through and make sure all the corrections have been made. The other one, the 10825, that was the other house that they were doing a significant remodel. We may want to send them a letter and ask them when they plan to start. That's been noticeably silent for an extended period of time. So I didn't want to aggravate them, but they may be waiting on the builders, since all the builders are busy. I was tempted just to send them an email. Maybe that's the better way to approach that, but I was just wondering what was going on.
Yeah, I was wondering too, as I was over there, because it has been a while since we were pushing to get done with that easement concern. I think probably instead of having the official letter come from Leland, maybe if you could just give them a tickle email and say, hey, just wondering. Because if they're waiting on something from us, I don't want them to think that we haven't done something, or, you know, because we're, to my mind, we're complete on that.
They've been very vocal, so I don't think they're waiting on us for anything. My gut feeling is it's the builder. All the builders are busy.
I have a quick question. When you have somebody that wants a solar panel, do you ask them if they have permits?
That's between the installation and the.
So you don't ask for
Absolutely
approval
not.
permit?
No, there's nobody in the community that's actively working permits to know all the permits they need. So that is between the homeowner, the builder, and the county.
Okay.
That's not our purview.
Right.
Is there ARB guidelines for Boca and Waters Edge? I was on the website, I cannot find anything.
The only thing that's enforceable is the covenants. The guidelines are a nice document. The covenants are what's
They don't exist.
enforceable. Oh no, the covenants are.
I mean, the ARB guidelines, they're not, there's nothing on the web.
There is a document on the site, but.
As far as like Avalon has clean roof, you don't have anything like that for them? Any of the guidelines that we use, there's nothing that coordinates over there?
The guidelines are just a nice to have document. The covenants are what is enforceable. So if the roofs are dirty, then Maria cites them under the covenant violation of maintenance, and that's what's done. Guidelines are useless. The only real purpose, in my opinion, of guidelines is it helps clarify the interpretation of the covenants. But the covenants are what are legally enforceable.
So Avalon spent a lot of time a few years ago rewriting those. It's just, so you're saying that was a waste of time?
I'm not saying a waste of time, but the covenants are what's enforceable.
Okay.
Now, where the guidelines can come into play is where there's interpretation in the covenants. That would be a place to capture them rather than having a whole bunch of legal opinions that people have to sort through. But that's the only purpose of guidelines.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, I don't know, Mike, have you had a chance, and I don't know if you get it, if you don't, let me know, on the, I guess, the open violation report. I see it in the manager's report that comes out.
I don't get a copy of that.
Okay, I'll send it to you, because I'd like your opinion on, from an ARB perspective, 'cause some of these things continue to go on and on and on. I'd like to see if we either A, revisit them on a more strong scale, or if it's something that, we do like we've done in the past, where we essentially just notate the account type of thing for
I'll take a look through, because the challenge we have is the consistency. That is the issue. So we'll just use the dirty roof. If we're gonna send one person damning letters on a dirty roof, then we better be sending the entire community full of dirty roofs, those same letters. And if we're gonna take one person to court, we have to take them all to court.
Probably
You can't
really-
selectively enforce
Nobody
them.
really pays any attention to them. A lot of people have said, oh, you can throw it in the garbage, and they admit that they throw it in the garbage, and
I would agree with that.
it's annoying.
I've heard that before.
The challenge is that if you take somebody to court, the first thing they're gonna bring up is that you're not consistently enforcing them.
Oh, yeah.
And there's
No way to enforce some of them.
But there are HOAs out there that will take people to court and do have teeth. And the challenge that you have, because I'm sort of that middle, trying to stay in the middle of the road to help people, is when the board and ARB go off the guideline, or go off the road and into the sand. And if you want an example of that, just personal opinion, is you just have to read the Sunday paper on the little home library and their little foo that involved court costs and I
The
think
one where God
tens of
planted the
thousands.
moon thing on this house?
No, that's another one. The city of Mount Dora is gonna
Yeah.
pay the homeowner, so.
$15,000.
Right, so the challenge really is you wanna maintain community, but you don't wanna have essentially a group of folks going off the rails and basically putting the HOA in paper, personal opinion. I'm sure both sides of that little home library have valid arguments, but when you look at it on the front page of the paper, it sounds kind of
Yeah,
silly.
it is a borderline thing, and in some cases, and it's just nicer to say, just excuse me, before you get a letter, and before, if it's possible, could you clean up a little bit? And sometimes that goes further than those letters that they don't even bother to open.
What about things like house colors? That's not clearly explicit in covenants, is it?
The covenants say they have to be a natural color. Actually, both associations say that, they have to be a natural color.
But it's not limited to the color guide that, the booklet that Avalon has. They don't have that on the other side, or if you want to paint the house pink, you could, or no? And it's covenants specifically say?
Where that's addressed is the overall community look and feel.
So it's all just,
Right,
So like Avalon has the book of colors, the other ones don't.
We're taking probably too long, but I guess the question I would have with the book of colors is the home at the intersection of Woodchase and Hollycrest that just got painted. I have no idea, I mean, that's,
The white and gray?
yeah, I mean, it's backwards to all the residents.
No, but it looks nice and it's clean, and there are other houses, and that's the other thing you have to go by. There are other houses.
Right, but see, here's the problem with guidelines, is you just made a one-off. So
Yeah.
if somebody wants to paint their house pink, why can't that be a one-off? No need to answer, I mean,
Yeah.
that was a hypothetical.
Right, but there is a precedent. Like my yellow is not in the book, but my yellow was in before the book. So as long as I don't change my yellow, it's okay. And other people can do it because I did it.
But that's,
Yeah.
we won't get into it.
No,
but
I'm saying that's the issue.
Right.
there's a lot of
But-
vague things, is what we're
Right,
saying.
but it gets back to what's legally enforceable from an ARB perspective, is the covenants. That is what's legally enforceable. Okay, Mike, I took way too long.
No,
I
that's-
apologize.
No, because the ARB is usually the catalyst. If you ever if you see lawsuits with HOAs, it usually starts at the ARB level. Because somebody says that you can do this and they get into trouble that way. So I mean, it's unfortunate, but you know, it's that's where your litigation, or 90% of your litigation comes from. So, but what I'll do is I took an action item. I'll send you and I'll do that on a monthly basis. I've been remiss in doing that. I keep looking at it and saying I should text Mike, and then by the time I get through, I'm like, oh, I forgot to ask.
Don't worry, I don't need any more email.
You and me both. So, all right, that cover ARB then.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Social committee, nothing to report here. I know that last month we had talked over the food truck item. Nick still has that on his list to do, but I think everyone is in alignment for what we got back on the survey results, which is, move that to a little better weather time of the year. Good thing we didn't have it today with the storm that rolled in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Information technology here, I'll just take you through this quickly. So the IT development vendor that Leland uses is currently reviewing all of our phase 2 requested enhancements. So we've got about, I think, 21 or 22 items on the list. They're doing a rough order of magnitude on all of them to see exactly, how we can slot this and start phasing them in. We also have 3 new e-forms under development, and we're going to have a addition to the vehicle form. For some reason doesn't have the where you can upload a file to it, so we need to add that. And that should hopefully be done by beginning of next week, so people can put their registration on if so desired in that. But other than that, I mean, from a website perspective, we're pretty much operating as well as I thought we could here, trying to move into that next step and how we refine it a little bit more.
I'm still not getting the surveys. I haven't gotten any of them. I got the letter saying there was gonna be a survey coming.
Mm-hmm.
Never got any of the surveys.
Okay, because that's the exact same list that I used for the MailChimp. Give me your email address, or shoot it to me, or whatever. Send me an email. I'll look it up on SurveyMonkey to see. SurveyMonkey for that to see, because it's the 208. There's 283 emails on file for MailChimp, and there was 283 emails then imported into SurveyMonkey for the last 2 surveys.
Well, if I get the letters, it makes sense. And I did check spam, and I
I
don't
didn't
have
get it
any.
either. And a couple other residents told me they didn't get it. So.
Okay.
I'll send you my email then.
Yeah, and I'll go back and look, because it's easy enough to trace back, because I can see what bounced. There haven't been any bounces on any of these, so I know it's not that.
Well, you have my email from the board. It's the same email.
All right, and I'll look it up on SurveyMonkey and see what's going on. I'll pull the record. Okay, moving on to infrastructure here. A couple things we did get done here. The 3-year engineering report has been completed. Sam is working on the final copy and confirmation of that filing with the county, like we legally have to do, and then he'll ship all that information over, and then that'll be done. Reserve advisors completed the initial draft of that reserve study update. I fired back a couple questions on that relative to a few things on there. So I believe Nicole, is that her name? Mm-hmm. Is going to look into those. The playground inspection report was sent. I haven't sent it along yet because I just had a chance to talk with Diane Honnell. The inspection report is like 226 pages. Yeah, and I told her next time you might want to just put a summary sheet at the front for like stuff we got to fix, so I don't have to go through every single section, because that was a little bit tedious. But she actually went through and researched to manufacturers to get like from the tot lot and everything, like the original warranty documentation, the original like installation instructions. So it's all there in one. This initial baseline covers everything in that regard. So there's no major issues that we have to basically close down anything for. There's just some minor stuff, and there's like we need a couple new bolts and stainless steel stuff like that. So she's gonna work to order that and get a quote together and get that work done, but we're definitely not in any kind of major violation issues or anything to that effect on that. Sidewalk project, all the grinding work was completed. They were going to start the 90 panels today. Obviously, that did not happen. So hopefully, in the next couple days, they can start that up and start to remove the panels and remediate the tree roots and get those going. Obviously, weather is a major factor in how well we're gonna, or how fast we're gonna move along in that regard. Oh, the front pond area, we have a turtle's nest, like right in the black fence, that wrought iron fence that backs up to Avalon Homes there. So I actually called Pulte, since they had to deal with turtle removal when they cleared the land for Phillips Grove. So they gave me the name and number of the gentleman they used. So he was actually out, took a look at things, and is working on, you know, his report of what he found, the species, and then what our next steps are to relocate them or get rid of them, because we will have to go in and reinforce the ground by the fence where the post is, because it
Bring it all up.
yeah. So
What do you mean by get rid of them? Aren't they protected?
yes, they'll relocate them.
Oh, you said.
Yeah, we'll
relocate
get,
or get rid of them.
but not all turtles are.
Yeah, depends on what kind of turtle it is.
They're going to be finding a new home one way or another, because they can't eat up, you know, destroy that the fence area, you know, what's going into the base. Access control, no major, nothing really to report there. We still have PTO for Dionysius, so we still hopefully get him back. I think Alan said beginning or mid next week, so we'll go back to our normal crew in that regard. So I know it's been a little bit of a musical chair thing with some PTO, you know, vacation has come up for people, and like Carmelo took some and whatnot, and I'm sure Alan is probably due for a vacation soon enough. So I'll have to ask him what his plans are, but hopefully we'll get back to the full staff there really soon. All right, continuing business here, moving along, looking at the street lamp placement. So as we talked about the last meeting, you know, we had I forget, we had like 5 or 6 initial I guess you want to say options for us to replace what we currently have. We whittled those down to 3, and again, the winner was the one receiving the most overall votes. 45 overall votes is about 51% of the total people who cast votes. Was the Mitchell, the 50-watt LED Mitchell with the top hat. I believe everybody took a look at the 70-watt LED open acorn like they have at Ruby Lake, which I think everyone is in alignment that it's a little bit overkill in terms of brightness.
It was brutal.
Wow.
You can't read those names. Which one is it that you're talking about? That
The one with the star underneath it? This one?
It has to diffuse it a little bit too, which is gonna make a big difference.
And that's 50 watts compared to 70 on the other?
Yeah. Those 70 watts was so bright, it was blinding.
It was.
It was
So
horrible.
you said you sent out 260 and you only got 45 total to reply?
45 cast their vote for this, so 45 and 32.
87 is 98.
Which was, I think, the last one we had about the same on that. And it was about the same percentage breakdown, because these were the top 3 and they finished basically in the same category again.
What's their time frame to get it done?
Well, if we sign the contract with Duke, they'll have someone come out to do an assessment of all the poles, because they will replace any poles for no charge that need it. And then it takes, I believe, for the amount we have, I think we have 107 fixtures. It's about a 2-month cycle time before they can install on that. We're also going to look at putting a few new lamps in a couple spots that are really dark areas. So that would be done at the same time. So that would be a new post, and then the wiring, because they'll keep it on actually the same side of the road, and then when they put up the new fixture tops.
It'll take a few weeks to do all that too. It's gonna be a big job.
Yep, and that's another weather contingent one
Do
too.
any of the pedestals that are in the grass belong to Duke?
In terms of the pedestals or the posts or the,
No, pedestals that are in the grass, you know, like the big square ones that belong to the cable company. Then there's the some that look like the torpedoes that are laying underside, and
right.
would any of that be Duke that they could fix?
No, because I believe most of those are the fibers, that's the AT&T, Bright House, CenturyLink.
Right. Those are the two.
Yeah, those are the two on those. Duke would not,
Yeah.
Duke only, I believe Duke only has our lamps.
Right.
If we ever approach these vendors to ask them to come out and straighten out those terminals, there's a lot of them that are, like Kathy said, tipped over, covers missing, bent, very poor looking.
Yeah, I've asked them to come out before, and I've asked them again. It takes about a month and a half to get somebody to come out and do them, because they gotta do an assessment and whatever, and then you're dealing with multiple vendors, obviously. It just takes time to get them out to do mass quantities. And it's really bad if you only do one-offs on that. But I'll ask them again to come out and see if we can expedite going through the entire community and that. Because I know we do have pictures of it, and a couple people have sent me stuff, like, you know, it usually comes from whoever your landscapers are ripping through, and they hit it, and that they don't, you know, they kind of prop it up. So. And they do take a sun beating too. There's a lot of really faded ones within there. So. But I guess in terms of the street lamp fixture replacement, you know, I think the 50-watt LED Mitchell with the top hat was the consensus.
Mhm.
So. So for the board here, I guess I'll so I can get with Duke. They did send proposals for each one of these, so we can execute whichever one we pick. So I guess I'll make the motion then to move forward with the street lamp fixture replacement for the utilizing the 50-watt LED Mitchell with top hat.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Kathy, you there?
Jeez.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's so carried. Yeah, she said she's on a call. She's talking on a call.
Yeah, she's on call.
Okay.
She's talking to Australia.
Fun.
Yeah.
Oops. Let me get this back. All right. Next item is new business. That took care of all the continuing. Like I said, just to recap that recreation program, we'll have more, as I've got a spreadsheet. We're just not getting, we don't have enough fully vetted like-for-like quotes back on all this stuff yet. And I will say I did meet over the last probably 5 to 7 days with 4 general contractors who took some measurements and reviewed of the gatehouse. So they're supposed to be sending some proposals on, you know, A, what they saw, and then B, you know, what would be their recommendation as a, you know, kind of told them, you know, if you had to do this and, you know, give it to me from a refurb, if you you know, how do we get more storage, and how do we get more, I guess, efficient usable space type of thing. So we'll see what they come back with, and we can start taking a look at that.
What about the water features?
It is coming up.
Oh, it is, okay.
All right, so.
Oh, there it is. Wow. Speak of.
Yeah, so the other item of new business, and we had this on, and we put that out there also on the survey, was to look at, you know, these this is the first round of what we got back for making a change to the front as it's time to make some investments in those marquee signs when you look at what's going on around us in terms of all the building and new development. So I guess notwithstanding the water feature there, I've got two out of the 4 quotes back for the taking off the Turtle Creek, the signage, those are going to have to be refurbished, and then they're going to have to clean the back marble and then reseal it because of the water damage over the years on there.
Just the air pollution too.
Yeah.
Rain pollution.
So we'll also do the monument signs in the circle too at the same time, because they haven't been done either. So that we'll pull those off and and get those done. Now, I don't have any lead time, I don't have the, how long are we gonna be down? Do we have to put a canvas up and say Turtle Creek and paint it, But, that'll be the one step there. But for the top, looking at those, you see the three options that this vendor came back with. The first one is the bubbler option, and you got the 5 spouts there, and then you've got the 3 waterfalls there in the middle, and then you have the 1 waterfall in the middle and 2 on either side of the bubblers. There were a lot of good comments people had on there about this, so that's all in the survey results, and that'll be released out onto the website and the overall documents available to everybody later today when I post the rest of the stuff from the meeting. But this is just a starting point, I can tell you, this vendor wants to use the precast bed. You can get a precast, maybe I'm using the wrong term, bed, pool or whatever, that you can put in there. That's why he has that other, kind of it built up a bit there.
Oh, yeah.
On there. So you see how he's adding the brick and having that happen. And then he would be basically using, we could put to keep it full, he was gonna hook it into, we would have put it into the irrigation run, and then it would, but the problem with the front, the more I looked at this, and I'm researching the different bubblers and waterfalls, we use that reclaimed water in the front.
Ooh.
Which reclaimed water is a big no-no for any water feature because of it literally cuts their useful life in half,
Yeah.
they're saying.
And you're misting and all that.
So, I know that Mike Honnell's working on one where actually he would have tanks behind each of the signs that would have the water in it that would recirculate. So that his idea, so this one would have the traditional standing pool and then the bubblers. It's up high enough, I don't think you need a real standing pool of water there. It's not gonna be that visible, not like if you go to downtown Winter Garden and you see in front of their city hall, they have that, you can see that. His actually has a drain, and it just comes and recirculates it, and then you would just be, you would just have to fill the tanks, the 2 huge tanks behind it. So he's working on getting a quote on that. So that's a little different way to go about something like that.
Clever idea, actually.
Yeah, and plus it allows us to control what water goes in there versus that reclaim. Because you look at that wall, you can see right where it hit all that stuff. It is brutal on that. So. The other thing that both Mike Honnell and this vendor mentioned too is if we decided to do backlit LED onto the Turtle Creek, that we might have to, the letters might have to be kind of rounded at the top so the water flow would go down them versus settling on the top of the letters. That I told them to work up the quote on that because I don't know if they would be the right person to look at, LED backlighting on that or what, but that's another option we need to explore.
You need to get a good sign company to do that.
Because I know that the guy who provided these was the gentleman or the company who did these originally for Gallimore. So they're very familiar with them. And the other quote I'm waiting on is from the folks who did Pulte's sign over in Phillips Grove.
Yeah.
The one, them and Ruby Lake, if you've seen them, they are backlit. And it really kind of gives a...
It makes a nice difference.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Mike, a quick question.
Yeah.
The YouTube stream, is that live? I think it's showing it's offline.
It says it's, we're getting, well, it's reconnecting here, just due to the Wi-Fi performance here, so we'll give it a second, and it should be back on. But it is recording, and we can move the recording up because it keeps a copy in the cache, so it'll be still recording this, and we can move it up.
Okay.
So, but this, obviously this is a long way to go before we make this level of commitment here, and want to see what else people can.
Wonder if a pool company could help us out.
What? Try.
Never know.
They do bubblers for like home pools
Exactly.
and whatnot.
That's what I'm thinking,
It's the exact same thing. And
Yeah.
the other one too is, from a lighting perspective, I think, I told them for these bubble jets, they need the LED rings on each of them, so you can have that
Again,
effect.
pool companies, that's what they do.
Yeah. So that's one option there. And then the other item then is the lighting at the front. We have the 2 carriage lights on either side, which have seen better days. It's time for them to be replaced with LED if we're doing LED throughout the community. And then by the gatehouse too, you've got the two on either side, they should all be.
Those lights, you can take them down, take them apart, get them sandblasted and powder coated, put them all back together, like brand new.
With an LED?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
If we want to use the same design,
Just saying,
Yeah.
you can actually use the same ones.
yeah.
That's what I do. I mean, I do a lot of stuff like that for my work. I take stuff apart like that, bring it down to the guy on 33rd Street.
Mm-hmm.
They sandblast it, powder coat it, looks better than brand new.
Yep. So we'll look at that because that's going to need it too if we're doing everything else.
Yeah.
And then the last piece of it would be, what are we going to do for the landscaping perspective on that? So that'll be last because obviously you're going to have people trudging all over doing work. We're not going to
Oh,
put
they're
it.
gonna destroy it.
Yeah, that's a given. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what else the other vendors come back with, because you know they can do a lot of different designs, and that's a good idea on a pool come. I'll reach out to a couple of them because they do that stuff on a regular basis.
Every day.
Yeah, but I will say maybe they're more responsive than the sign vendors, because some of these guys are just
Yeah, I know, the problem
brutal to get a
now
hold
is
of.
home building is so damn busy, these guys are putting pools and like gummy bears everywhere.
I know.
Yeah, everybody's busy.
Yeah, but I can tell you at least every vendor that we need to get from, like when Pulte gives it to us, and they're pretty responsive.
Yeah.
Because I have them contact and say this, you know,
Oh, okay.
that, and they come right out. I mean, because they came out and looked at the signs the same days that they were installing the Phillips Grove sign.
Oh, there you go, yeah, sure.
So they were just out here, so they took all the pictures,
Yeah,
measurements,
sure, yeah.
and then they're working something up. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how they technically execute that from a feasibility perspective.
Yep.
Because whatever we do up front, you know, I don't care if it's the landscaping, it's the bubble effect, it's the the refurb of the lettering. We'll go after one of those capital grants for Orange County, so we can at least get 10 grand
Sure,
to help
right.
offset cost.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, because I know that refinishing of all the lettering and the backsplash, that's gonna be
a bitch. That's a
Yeah.
big job.
yeah, and it's gonna be expensive. But it's really at their end of life on that, so they just need to be polished and.
The letters look great, the style of them looks really good.
I just am thinking of how good they'll look once we get them refurbed.
They should be fabulous, yeah.
So more to come on that, but I thought I'd at least show it out there. So, all right, for the board, is there anything else that we wanted to talk about? I think that brings us to the end of what we're looking at. If not, I'll open it, to the floor for any comments or anything to that effect.
What's the status on the trees?
The end of the month, they'll be done by the end of the month. We're waiting on.
Only the ones that people wrote in?
No, that's everything. We've got 4 quotes that I signed off on. I mean, that covers, essentially, it covers, 33 homeowner properties across all 3 neighborhoods, covers the sidewalks, and it covers the overhangs in the road, and it covers the common area, the one tree by the doggy station. They're gonna clear out all the tree limbs around the lights again, so Duke doesn't hack the hell out of them when they come in for the light replacement activity.
They'll just cut the tree down, they don't care.
So they're gonna come in and get the dead branches that are falling down and hitting everybody?
What's the 33 though? Is that the only people that wrote in?
Yes,
And those are the only ones you're gonna go onto the property?
onto their property, yes.
But the sidewalks everywhere.
Yeah, the sidewalks everywhere. Going
Driveways
up,
too?
yeah, that's part of over the aprons and everything, so.
And is there still time for people to contact you, or is there a cutoff time?
They can, I don't know if it'll be, I can work with them to get a change in, but I know that we've had to recycle through the quote a few times, that's due to the expansion of the scope. I mean, if they still write it, I'll get it in, I'll see if we can do it. If not, it'll probably be a couple weeks after when they recycle back through, but I can see what they can do. And then the other one too is when you're coming up and down the entryway, those one trees are growing, like overtaking it, like the oaks are coming over the median. Those are gonna be cut back to give each of those the, I guess, room to grow,
Mhm.
because we are having those, what's left, like, when you come to the circle, there's the two, what are those? Ligustrums, I believe. Those are failing, I mean, they're end of life.
Yeah, they're tired.
Yeah, so, we're working on getting a quote for those, replacement like for like.
There's
Obviously.
also that one house when you come in, that the vines are growing over the wall. That needs to be trimmed back and get those vines off before they do a lot of damage.
And which,
The big house.
oh,
Right, as you
when you're,
come
when
in
you're on the
right-
right-hand side, as you come up to the
Yeah.
stop sign right there on like Water's Edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also have on the Water's Edge side, on the other side, where it has that one large plant that keeps coming over the sign. I've told Brightview that they're gonna do it this week. I want everything cut back from that wall. I mean, we have a 10-foot landscaping easement in there. I'm not saying cut it all the way back, but I can't have that stuff so close to the wall growing in.
Tear it up.
Did you ever get the hole in the wall in Boca Point fixed, where those people had all their stuff on the wall?
Yeah, that
The
was
brick-
done, yeah, that was done a couple months ago.
But the brick is back and,
Mhm. Yeah, and that, we removed the irrigation, pulled it off the wall, sent them a note, can't have that anymore, and it's all been replaced. Or it's been reinforced, because there were some other structural issues in there.
Big
So the column in and of itself, we kind of pulled that down. I know we cut in a V. I mean, the guys who did it did a really good job, because they're also the ones who did the wall at the back of the tennis court when that tree fell and hit it after the hurricane. You can't even tell that we had work done there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they did a good job on that.
As far as pending projects, it's been a year since you talked about fixing the street problems. You had an engineer walk around, you said there was 34 sections, we're gonna resurface everything. Where's that stand?
We weren't gonna resurface anything. We were going to do
Like,
the seal
whatever,
coat.
Seal coat, yeah.
Yeah. Seal coating will be looked at in the later part of this year. And that, I think we first brought that up late last year, because we did not want to have anything done through the holidays or anything to that effect.
Mhm.
We need to finish the tree trimming as well as the sidewalk activity before we do the road work.
And you have to make sure there's no rain possible.
Yeah, for seal coating, that's brutal.
It's brutal, you gotta, yeah. So that's in the winter months anyway.
And we still gotta figure, we'll have to get those quotes refreshed, because I think we had 4 quotes on that. We'll have to get them refreshed, but that'll be sometime after we get out of the rainy season on that.
What about that tree project you gave Brightview, the $11,000? You haven't talked about that in the last few months. What's the status? You still
We talked about it
going
last
forward with
month. I mean, we talked about it last month.
Oh.
I mean, we're waiting for the revised quote, because we want to crepe myrtles versus the other trees in there. So, I
that?
mean,
Doesn't the county own that land though?
no,
Are you sure?
absolutely.
They have an easement to dump water into that retention pond, is what I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
The only thing that they do own on the front pond is the outfall structure.
Right, yeah.
And that's why you've seen them come in with that cleaning truck that they brought in before. So that's the only thing, everything else is ours. We own it, and they just have an easement on it. Anything else? Lou, nothing?
Good.
All right. If there is nothing else, I'll make the motion to adjourn here at 7:20 PM.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Aye.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray. Thank you.
Old echo back, love it.
Yeah. I am interested to see how they facilitate the